Well, I just recorded an outro to put at the back end of this episode, but then I thought, you know what? I should put this at the top because what I have to say is important. And I know you guys are amazing and listen all the way through, which is fantastic. But just in case you don't get there yet, we have to let you guys know. This is our 60th episode. This is the season 3 finale. We are continuously blown away. We will never, ever be able to say thank you enough to you. Yes, you sitting there in your car in traffic, and to you cleaning your toilet, and to you wrangling your kids for dinner time. The community that has grown up around this podcast in the last year and a half has been something to see. And we are constantly talking about how grateful we are for you, how lucky we are to have such a diverse and hilarious and beautiful listener audience. So thank you for being our stranger friends. Thank you for showing up, for subscribing, for telling your friends, for being a part of our social media groups, for joining our Patreon and supporting the show. We are nothing. This podcast is nothing, truly, without you guys. So thank you for taking two women's harebrained creative idea and backing it all the way up. That support means the world to us and makes us excited for creating more episodes. So we are going to be on break starting now until October 15th. So October 15th, we will be back in your ear holes with season 4, episode 61. You are not going to want to miss this. So turn on those notifications. Make sure your Instagram is on because we may come back and surprise your ass. You don't know. And if you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do without my imperfect strangers? We have Patreon. Yes, this is a shameless self-promotion for our Patreon. We're still going to be posting over in Patreon. So if you want Monday Night Lives, if you want bonus audio content, if you want to jump in that Discord and see what the heck everybody's talking about, join. We would love to have you. So you can find us at patreon.com/imperfect strangers. Without further ado, guys, this is the season finale of season 3. Thank you. We hope that you guys will be well during this break. We can't wait to see and hear all of your shining faces when we come back. All right, let's go.
Do you want to start with me bullying you into telling me more about the thing you don't want to talk about?
I mean, I think I was like very clear last night when I was like, can we please not talk about that? And then this morning you were like, we're talking about it. And I was like, I don't feel like I want to talk about it, but I feel like I can't escape talking about it.
Well, here's the thing, though. I believe, and that's all that matters.
Which is helpful.
If you believe and I believe, that's all that matters.
Which is literally why you are the only person that I shared this with, which was actually the right it was the right instinct, because when I tried to share it with the one person who I should be able to share everything openly with without judgment, Chris, definitely got vibes from him that were like, okay, if you say so. And so that really just kind of like put me right back into my hole. So that, I think maybe that's why I'm feeling more reserved with this, but okay,
but,
here goes.
But hold on. You have to also understand that men don't know how to communicate, like, at all. So you can give them information and they just don't. I mean, I'm not saying they're not cool. Like, they got dangalangs, as Brian would say. We like those. But emotionally, or like understanding how to give you what you need when you share something, they don't be knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely okay. So I had this weird thing happen. But if we just rewind, because I think I might need to give some context into or a little bit of a backstory so that this story makes sense. So you obviously know that I am interested in, paranormal stuff and supernatural things. And I definitely think that there are legit mediums. We had Corrine on the show. I had followed her for a while before we invited her on the podcast. So I've always had this interest in the occult and new agey things and, all that kind of stuff. Always has been something that I've read about and, actively sought to understand or learn more about. I have had things happen over the years that, and I think that everybody has this happen, like things that you could write off as a coincidence, or isn't that funny, or wow, I can't believe that actually happened. And then it happens and you just write it off for whatever reason. So you could have a dream about something and then it happens. I've had that happen a handful of times. Or, you maybe don't see somebody for a really long time and then randomly they just pop into your head and then you see them the next day. Mm-hmm. Weird shit like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So back in, I can't remember exactly when. I want to say maybe like January or February, I signed up for one of Corrine's psychic medium development classes. And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to participate, but I was interested to see what happened. And I was curious to watch other people do it. And I thought, if I feel comfortable and if I feel like participating, because it was a Zoom, there were like 20 people on the Zoom. So it wasn't like an intimate, one-on-one thing. So you could really lay back and be quiet if you wanted to just observe, or you could participate. So I got my little notebook out. I was very nervous. My heart was beating really fast when it started. I brought a picture with me of my paternal grandfather, because there was also an opportunity, like if your number got picked, then people could read you. So you had an opportunity to be read by people. And then you also had the opportunity to read people. And it was practicing mediumship, which is connecting with spirit. And then there's psychic readings, which is connecting with that person's energy and telling them things about themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we got into it. I was like, not really believing, anything that was about to happen. I was very skeptical because these people were just like random people like us. And this girl had a picture of her grandmother, and these thoughts just started coming into my head. And when it started happening, I was like, why am I making this shit up? But I started writing it down. And then there was an opening where we could ask her questions to see if things resonated with her as it related to her grandmother. And I would say that like 90% of the things that I had written down about this woman, this girl confirmed. And I was like, what a coincidence.
Hold on a second. And this girl was sitting on the Zoom, waist up. She didn't have like, a locket with her grandmother's picture in it. Like, it was just a person you've never seen before.
Total stranger. And
you were just writing down what came up in your brain, like just your thoughts.
Yes. And it sounds really weird and strange. And you feel like you're making this stuff up until you say it out loud and the person confirms it. And you're like, how did I know that? It was odd.
Right. Well, what kind of stuff? Not like general stuff like, was your grandmother a lady? Like, real.
Right. No. So I picked up on, she was a smoker. she had like the way that she passed was related to her smoking. I can't remember if she had lung cancer. I'd have to look back at my notes. I picked up on her drinking. I picked up on her being like boisterous and loud at parties and like singing. There were a handful of things that were very specific, and it wasn't general, like, did she live in the United States? That were specific to her. And so when you're talking to a medium, you want a medium to be able to give you proof of connection that is like highly specific to that person, that there's like really no way that you could know, right? Mm-hmm. So not general questions, but like very specific facts.
Right. So you were freaking yourself out.
I was freaking myself out, but I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And so out of everybody that went, there were really only, it was that girl. There was a girl that wanted to do psychic stuff, and I picked up on a few things from her. And then there was another woman, and it was mediumship. And I picked up just like on 2 or 3 things. But this one girl, I had the most things come through for this girl's grandmother. So I left it, and I thought it was cool, and I told Chris about it, and I was like, that was a really fun experience. People picked up on things from my grandfather, which was really cool. So it was fun to be read and to get to see, kind of what that kind of class looked like. So anyways, cut to months later, and I've started buying books, and I listen to Korean's podcast every week. And she had said something to me in passing, because we've kind of developed a little like podcasting friendship where I'll share tips with her, and I'll be like, hey, you might want to try this, or look into this, or this has helped us. So we have our little podcasty talk, and every once in a while, like, I'll ask her questions about mediumship or like things to look into or things to try. And so she told me, she was like, you're more gifted than what you think you are. And I was like, you're so cute. That's so nice. Anyway, so this weekend, I was watching a total stranger's Instagram live, and I had this overwhelming feeling that this person's mother was there with them while they were doing this live. It sounds stupid. It sounds weird.
It's not stupid. Stop discounting it. It's not stupid. Not just that, if you have been reading and like doing your due diligence and like have shown an interest in this and have gone out of your way to better understand it, and then a medium herself has said you can tap into your own shit. Because I remember that podcast, she said specifically, she's like, everybody can tap into it if they want to.
Yeah.
It's your level of skepticism that keeps you unable to. But that everybody has the ability to. It's like a what do you call that? It's like an underdeveloped sense, one of your senses. So shit, you bit, don't say it's stupid. Continue.
I know, but I understand how it sounds. My logical, rational brain knows how this sounds. This sounds completely ridiculous, but I felt this woman's mother with her, and I knew that her mother had passed, but I didn't know anything beyond that. And I was getting these like very specific visions of what this woman looked like. So I reached out to this person privately, and I was just like, I'm really sorry. This is going to sound really weird, but while I was watching you do this live, I had this overwhelming feeling that your mom was with you, and she was so proud of you. I was like, it was this like loving mother energy of like, this is my kid, and I am so proud of the person that she is, because she's a truly caring, giving person. And I just like needed to ask you some questions, like, did she look like this? Did she wear these things? Was she known for these things? And she confirmed everything that I asked. There was one thing that was off, but everything else she confirmed. So we're talking and we're chatting, we're direct messaging each other, going back and forth. And then this was maybe like 30 minutes, and I had sat down to eat with my family. And all of a sudden in my head was like, poodle. You need to tell her about the poodle. And I was like, what the fuck? This is so stupid. So
I go. It's not. Wait. So when you saw like her mom was still in your periphery, like, oh, don't forget this. Tell her that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So I go back where we like took the kids out for kind of like a last hurrah picnic. So I go back to the car, I get the phone, I go in the message, and I was like, I'm sorry, but poodle just came into my head. I have to tell you about the poodle. I was like, it's a small poodle. It's not a big poodle. And I said it was black. And I was like, but that might be because I had a black poodle as a child, but for whatever reason, I'm supposed to say the poodle to you. So she sends me a picture of her poodle. It's a white poodle. I know. I was like, okay.
So now you're real freaked out and can't tell Chris.
Right. Okay. So my family is like here doing this thing and I'm in my head going, please, this has to stop. This has to stop. I can't keep direct messaging this woman. I don't really know her like this. This is very weird. So it continues. And there's another person that comes through. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I keep hearing mija, mija, mija. And I was like, did your mom call you that or did somebody say that to you? And I was like, I keep hearing it. And I was like, there's this woman there now. I said, she's older. She's in a floral dress. I said, she has completely white hair. Her eyes disappear when she smiles. And she is so fucking happy. I was like, I can't even describe to you. Like, this woman is laughing. Like, she's fucking joyful. And she was like, oh my God, I think that's such and such. So she sends me a picture. And in the picture, the woman has black hair. And I was like, did she dye her hair when her hair started to go white? And she was like, yeah, I never saw her without her hair dyed. And I was like, it's this woman, but she's now completely platinum. She does not have this dye in her hair.
Well, and I don't think they have Clairol in the afterlife, but go ahead.
So we start talking about her, and I was like, but she's a grandmother. And I was like, but this woman, like, you had a relationship with, but she's not really. And so it came about that it wasn't her mother's biological mother. This is a surrogate grandmother to this woman. So I picked up that this wasn't like a direct grandmother, but this was a woman that filled in that role for this person.
And see, how could you explain that? How could you know that? Unless that message was delivered to you in a way that you're supposed to be the vessel. See, that's what I'm saying. So, like, people could not believe all they want, but how can you explain that?
I couldn't. But I also am like disbelieving. So then I get this other vision of this woman who is dressed to the nines. She's incredibly buttoned up. She has the curl and set hairdo. And it's dark and it's high. It reminded me, I had a great grandmother who had the same short curl and set hairdo. So I'm seeing this woman, her arms are crossed and she's wagging a finger, and I hear Cadillac. And I said, did you have a female in your life who had a Cadillac? She was incredibly like in love with this car. Like, this was her shit. This was like part of her personality, but also incredibly stern, like loving, but like you didn't fuck with her. And she was like, oh my God. So she sends me a picture of this other grandmother. She's like, that's such and such. She had a Cadillac. And I was like, okay. I was like, so we talked about that person, and she confirmed that saying that she was stern was like being kind. Like, this woman was very terse. So then I get another one.
Okay, hold on. It was just real quick. When you're getting them,
yeah,
whatever they are they like thought bubbles above your head and you see it very clearly, or is it like sounds?
It's like with the descriptions of the women. So like, as I'm getting descriptions of what they look like, it's like you're imagining somebody. Like, I once heard Corinne say, when you see it in your mind's eye, it's like if I told you the story about Lennox falling off the diving board, in your head, you would visualize what that scene looked like. Mm-hmm. This is the same thing. So it's like imagining in your head what this person looks like. You've never seen them before, but you're just drawing this picture. That's the best way that I can describe it.
So it's like a color vision of your imagination, but you're like watching a TV in your head.
Yes.
Okay.
When the words come in, it was just random words. So for this next person, I was like, I just heard cinnamon and sugar. I said, and I'm hearing donuts. And I said, so do you have somebody that's passed that was also really well known for their baking or making sweet things? I said, cinnamon and sugar just keeps repeating in my head. And she's like, oh my God, I think that's such and such. She was well known for the cakes that she made and decorated. I said, okay. So she sends me 2 pictures of this auntie, and I'm looking, and I looked at the first picture and looked at the second picture, and I was like, she was like the life of the party. She was like always the person that was trying to get people going. I was like, she has like a lot of loving energy. She's really vibrant. Obviously, those can be very general things that somebody could be like, yeah, sure. I said, what did I ask her? Shit.
I mean, yeah, those could be very general things, but like out of nowhere, you're just like, oh, hey, do you know somebody who bakes? Like, that's crazy.
and is also passed over and like was very close to you. Okay, so here's what happened. So, and now I'm like, we're back at the house. I'm like cleaning shit up. It's Sunday night. I'm trying to get things done, and I go to pick up the boys' things. And as I bend over to grab Lennox's reading bag, I hear fatal car accident. It wasn't my fault. And I was like, fuck. So I get back on my phone and I was like, did one of these 3 ladies, your mom not included, because I knew that wasn't how her mom passed, did one of these 3 ladies die in a fatal car accident? And she sent me back the emoji with the head exploding. And I heard the name of one of the 3 people that she had showed me. And I said, was it X? And she sent me like a little GIF, and it was like, boom. And I was like, oh my God. So I think that probably that moment alone was the thing that confirmed for me, like, you're not making this up. This isn't weird. How on earth would you specifically say somebody died in a fatal car accident? It was this person and it wasn't their fault.
And you heard the name.
And I heard the name. And then the person came back and confirmed she had a heart attack. She had congestive heart failure, had a heart attack, died while driving her car, caused an accident. So died in a fatal car accident, wasn't her fault. And I gave her specifically who the person was out of 3 people. That to me is not a coincidence. And that to me is what scared me.
Oh, no. Now we working on demon time, girl. You got me scared. Oh, no.
And I don't know how to explain any of it.
Did you call Corrine and explain this is happening so that you have someone to help you understand what's happening to your brain right now?
So I texted her frantically after the exchange, and I was just like, I don't know what's happening. I was like, this is really weird. And I said, I don't know how to explain it. And I said, my brain is trying to rationalize it and telling me that I made it all up, except I have a text thread between myself and this person. And I was like, I can't process what's going on. And she didn't respond to me until yesterday. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm at a water park with my family. And she was like, you could just like, if you feel somebody's energy come through, you can ask somebody if they want to hear what you have to say. Cause she had been telling me, she was like, you need to start practicing on people. And she was like, find Facebook developmental groups. I guess that's what she did. She said when she started to learn, she's like, just practice on people that can confirm these details. And the more that you practice, the better you'll get.
Well, not just that, the more that you practice, the less you'll scare yourself.
Yeah, it was just very strange. And I'm still having a hard time processing it. And that's part of the reason why I didn't want to talk about it, because I was just like, it sounds bananas to me. I can't imagine how this sounds to other people. Hence Chris's reaction. He was like, oh my God, are you an alien? He was like, I think like 30% of the people on this earth are aliens. I was like, yes. And I came here to have alien human hybrid children with you, and my mission is complete.
Listen, they like to listen. They don't. If you have to talk to somebody about it, you could talk to me, because they don't They don't be listening right sometimes.
No,
Like
and
when I've told Justin about, things that I've found to be coincidental, like the
Yeah.
Francine pen, he didn't think that was crazy. I was like, that was fucking crazy.
It was crazy.
They don't know. Girl, they don't know. And that's okay. They don't have to know.
You're literally the only person I texted that information because I was like, I think Melissa's the only person outside of Korean that won't judge me for this. Now we've just put it out into the podcast. So now I have thousands.
But the other thing is, too, like, when Corinne said that you can train your mind and body on how to accept the messages. Like, people probably think that's bullshit too, but here you are.
It was weird.
And it came out of nowhere. It wasn't like you were trying to read this lady.
Yeah, and that was the weirdest thing. It was just like it feels like when you're watching your kids do something like really sweet, or they're playing and you're watching them and you're like, how did I end up with these amazing human beings? And I just had that overwhelming feeling of love for this person who, is a total stranger. It was so weird that I couldn't write it off. And I just kind of felt like I have to explore this. I have to ask. And if she's open, then I'm going to, see where this goes. And then it was like, as soon as it came on, and as soon as I felt those feelings, and after we got through the car accident question, then it was just like off, and that was it. It was very strange.
What happens to your body when you're getting the messages?
Nothing. It was just like I was literally eating a hamburger and French fries, and my brain was like, "So you gotta tell her about the poodle. Ask her about the poodle." And I was like, "I don't want to ask her about the poodle because that's stupid." And I was like, ask her about the poodle. And I was like, fuck. So I walked back to my car.
So you're like, have you ever seen that video? It's a terrible video that nobody should have ever made go viral. But it's a video of a lady who clearly is in a mental health, situation. And she is talking to someone.
Yeah.
Very animated, talking to someone. And like switching sides too. And it's like, girl, you were having that with yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And is this the first time, or do you feel like this is the first time that's happened, or have you had other things that you'd have just dismissed them?
I've had other things and I've dismissed them, but they're just like feelings. So I've had dreams that have turned out to like come to fruition after I've had them. That's happened a couple of times. I've had moments where like we went to Asheville in, was it 2016? And we toured the house, and we got down into, they have a pool in the basement of the house. And so we got down to the pool, and you're on these tours, you have like the little headsets and you're listening. So we're down there and we're listening, and it's telling us about the pool and how they used to fill it and have parties. And I had this overwhelming feeling of dread. Like there are spirits down here. Somebody's died in this pool, and it lingers. That energy lingered. And so after we did the tour and got out, then of course I got on my phone and I had to Google. And people had reported seeing things down there, hearing things. Apparently the basement at the Biltmore is very haunted by like the service staff that used to live down there and work. But somebody did die in the pool, and people have reported hearing and seeing things while they're on that part of the tour. So it wasn't like a direct thing, but I'll get like these weird vibes, weird feelings. I have that weird thing happen that a lot of people happen. Like I was thinking of this woman that she used to come to my classes all the time, but she lived in Atlanta. And so when her husband would travel up here for business, she'd pop into classes every once in a while, but I never knew when I would see her. And about a month ago, I had been thinking about her for some reason. And the very next day I showed up to work, and she was over on the weight machines working out. And it had been a year and a half since I'd seen her talk to this lady. So,
that's real. That shit happens.
Yeah.
All the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So anyways, I've definitely felt like in the last 6 months that I'm more open to it, because I I think that there's something there, and I do think that everybody has, like, I know that I am an empath because I can pick up on people's emotions, but part of me just feels like that maybe that's just being an observant, like, you know, human being. But I don't know. I think I joined a Facebook development group, and I tried practicing twice yesterday. I'm waiting for the people to come back with confirmation, so we'll see. I don't know. I'm still kind of like skeptical because I believe that other people can do it, but I just don't believe that those things came out of my brain.
Okay, but how do you explain the car accident?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't believe it? It literally came out of your brain and you got a confirmation.
I know.
And it's not like, you know, you read the girl's memoir. You didn't know her like that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So like if people, I think that people that are skeptical about it are like, oh, well, you just went to their Facebook page, or oh, you just read this thing about them and you're gleaning that. Like, no, it's that I got a random message or a random thought about the thing, and then I shared it, and then it became true, and now I know you think I'm a weirdo, but that's what the fuck really happened. You know?
Yeah. Now you know I'm a weirdo.
I don't think you're weird. I think that you've expressed an interest in something, and because you've expressed an interest in something, you have allowed a level of openness about it, and you only feel weird because you don't have anybody to talk to about the shit. That's the truth.
Yeah. How do you say, how do you say that kind of shit to somebody?
Without them going, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you just don't. And then you have only yourself to talk to about it, which makes you feel crazier.
Right.
Because now you're in your head going, I shouldn't have said that shit. Now they think I'm crazy. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm not on your level. Like I don't think I have I don't think I have gifts like that. But
everybody does.
Yeah, I know, and I've never like tried to tap into it. I don't read about it and stuff like that, you know. And I enjoy being skeptical because that's just the way my brain is wired. But so many things have happened, and I've heard of so many things happening to other people that it would be dumb not to believe. Like it would just be like, why? How could that have been? And things have happened to me personally where I'm like, that couldn't have happened. These things haven't aligned in this way without something like what you're talking about being an actual reality. So I believe 100% Justin Beck thinks I'm crazy. He's like, because he thinks all these things are coincidences, and I'm like, they're not though. They're really not. He don't even know that we are not a coincidence. I'm like, bitch, you really think it's a coincidence that we're together? Come on.
Yeah.
This is mad specific. There's a lot of things that had to happen for us to be in this place.
Yep.
So I believe. Bitch, I believe. And I'm scared of you. Don't go starting reading my auras, girl. Don't start reading my auras without my permission.
Oh, it's so crazy. Well, and I think the thing too, like, because I was in that Facebook development group, I had some time yesterday, and so I was looking at people's pictures and things that they had posted, because you can post pictures of people in spirit, and they're there to confirm the things that you come up with. And there are some people that I can sit and look at the picture and nothing happens. And so out of everybody that had posted, there were only 2 people that I got vibes from. And so I thought, what the hell? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say all the things that are coming into my head. And that seems to be the general consensus. Like, they have instructions in there for like exercises that you can do and things that you can do to kind of like get your mind into that space. And so they were like, just say everything that comes out, because there will be the one thing that you think is stupid or doesn't make any sense in the context of what you're telling this person, that will be the thing that is that very specific confirmation for them. So We'll see. I'll keep trying. I'll report back. We'll see what happens.
Don't try on me, girl, because I don't want to know nothing. Because I'm already scared of a lot of things, but I believe you. I really do. I believe you, and confirmation of your visions, that's all I needed to believe. For real.
Well, speaking of, putting yourself out there and people thinking things of you, can we talk about?
No, just kidding. No. Let's just keep talking about you. Don't ask me about no shit about me.
So let's talk about, because we are rounding out the end of a third season. We're 60 episodes into this, and we have both maintained a very specific level of privacy as it relates to talking about this in front of our friends and family. And you had an interesting situation come up this weekend. So I need to know more about it, because you only gave me like a little bite.
Because I had to text you quick about it when it was happening, but then as it was happening, I literally had to crawl inside my own butthole, and then I only just came out recently. So I'm so stressed out and so uncomfortable about it, and also like, how are we gonna do episode 61 now? No. So a while back, I had told you, I don't even know if this made episode for air or if it ended up on Patreon, but like, I had told you that I have compartments of myself that I share with certain groups, and I feel like I'm open and honest here on the podcast as much as I can be, in a way that protects the people in my life, because it's a podcast about me getting to know you and you getting to know me, not necessarily about me and all my family's business. So I'm careful about like how I share and what I share, but I also think that I'm still open. I think that a person listening could glean a good amount of information about me if they were really listening. But I also purposefully don't share a lot about, people in my family's business, even though it naturally comes out, because I am them and they are me.
Well, you walk that fine line too, because the podcast is about you and it's about our relationship, and it's not necessarily about those people. And so those people still have to live in their bodies in the world. It's not our place to share all of the nitty-gritty details without their consent.
Right. And sometimes that can be hard, as you know, because you can have very hyper specific and emotional and deep and, a wealth of range of emotions about people in your life that shape who you are and how you show up today, that you can't share that backstory in order to explain this is how you came to be. So it's a weird thing, sharing with the world and being vulnerable, and at the same time protecting those around you that didn't sign up for this shit. So I've had to live that way for a really long time because of my original experience on fucking national fucking television. So when I first started dating Justin and it became serious, I just said, okay, if this is the person that I'm going to end up marrying, I want his family to know me as the me who I am here today, and not the me that came to be because of that experience on TV. And that experience on TV shaped a lot. I'm not going to say that it didn't, and I'm not going to downplay it and all that. And it is not everything, but at the same time, it's a lot. And it's not like my contribution to the world, but at the same time, if you watched it and you know me, that's what the fuck you think.
Yeah.
There goes Melissa with the curly hair. Oh, that's the fucking girl in real world. Like, that happens. And I didn't want my in-laws to be like, oh, my daughter-in-law is Melissa from the real world. So I had just never talked about it. It was a thing in passing. Oh, I was on a reality show a long time ago. You don't need to know about it. And my mother-in-law and father-in-law have respected that. They haven't Googled it, looked it up. They don't, I mean, they know of it, but, you know, they haven't watched clips or any of that. And so part of that is also I protect my creative life. So we have this podcast. I've never told them about the podcast. Why would I tell them about the podcast? Why would I do that? They don't want to hear about me fucking their son. Like, why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? And that's also, it also would be hard to explain, you know, like, Melissa, I called you at 12 o'clock yesterday and you just didn't answer. And then I kept calling your phone and you didn't answer. Oh, I was podcasting. What's that? I'm not doing that. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'd rather just be like, oh, girl, I was laying down. I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, white lies sometimes help because you don't want to explain your and how many adults are in the world right now who their parents don't even know what they do for a living. Couldn't explain it. Couldn't tell you. Just because they don't have the bandwidth to explain to these old people what it is that they do and how it makes money. Because if they can't understand how it makes money, they want to know what the fuck it is. Yes. Yeah. So my niece she graduated high school. She's moving away to college, and it's a big deal. And, you know, I don't get to see my sister-in-law and my family that often because, you know, they respect my COVID protocols. They know I'm not going in a restaurant. They know I'm not doing. So, you know, she was really cool. She had a backyard graduation party. Everybody was vaccinated, etc. So it was something I felt like we could bring our kids to.
Yeah.
It was fine. So I walk in and, you know, Burnett, my mother-in-law, she's lovely. I've explained her. She's, you know, very cute and sweet and whatever.
Jewelry for days.
Yeah, jewelry for days, eyeliner, hair always done, accessories. She changes her purse to match her shoes. Like, she's adorable. She's sweet. And, like, I give her a very specific Melissa.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, how are you? You know? She don't know this Melissa. She don't know. Like, this Melissa, Burnett don't. She knows, hi, how are you? You look cute today. That's the Melissa she knows. So I would say yes, I code switch with my own family. And I think probably that exists a lot, and this would be a longer and more in-depth conversation that people who are in interracial relationships could have. But there is a level of code switching, even non-interracial. You know, there's a way that you are with your mother-in-law that you are not with your fucking own mom. That's just a thing. So, you know, I'm buttoned up. I have an outfit on. Hey guys, how are you? And Jeff Burnett, he's starting to get, you know, in his elder years he just has stopped giving a shit. He just don't. He's gonna say the thing he's gonna say. Justin's like, I love it. Did you hear my dad say this, and that the other day? And he's like, I love it. My dad was like, you're such a dick about it. It was great. And I was like, oh, you like this new Jeff? And he's like, I love it. So, like, new Jeff is more like Justin Beck now. So Jeff rolls up on me and was like, wow, Melissa, wow. I go, what? And you could see Burnett freeze. She was like, Jeffrey, don't bring that up here. That's a private conversation. I told you don't bring it up here. And she's upset. And Jeff goes, why? Why can't I say anything? I'm not saying anything disparaging. I'm going to tell her. It's your friend that's obsessed with her anyway. And I was like, hold on, what's happening, guys? What do you mean? And now I'm still, also inside I'm dying because I know what's coming. I'm like, sweating. Oh my God, my cover has been blown. Like, something bad has happened to Google. Oh God, they've Googled. So, like, I'm already having the conversation in my head. And Jeff goes, one of Burnett's friends says that you're a very famous person. And of course, we don't know anything about this. We've never Googled you. You told us not to look it up, so we didn't. Because you're our daughter-in-law. We do what you said. Whatever. And he goes, but she knew everything and she knew where to go and sent us to the places. I was like, I'm sorry, what? They said, we didn't know you had a podcast. What's the podcast? And I was like, how do I get the podcast? I was like, I don't know. I said, you have to have a certain device. I don't think you can get the podcast.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah. And they were like, well, what is the podcast? And so now I'm standing there going, well, I have a podcast with this woman, Amanda. Well, who's Amanda? I was like, girl, exactly. Who is Amanda? That's the podcast. So, I had to give the elevator pitch of our podcast to an older person who could understand. Well, I was a guest on Amanda's podcast. She's a local mom in Ohio. Oh, what does she do in Ohio? She's just a mom in Ohio. Okay, but how did she have a podcast? I don't know. She just had a podcast. So you see where... So she and I was a guest on her podcast. Well, where was her podcast? It's in Ohio. Oh, so she's in Ohio. Yes. Oh, and so when do you guys get together? I'm like, on the phone. On the phone. So then it's just on the computer. And so like, you see where this is going, where you're having a hard time. So
yeah.
I go, listen, it's a stranger. I don't know her at all. Well, we're getting to know each other. We've been doing this for a year. A year? We've been doing this for a year. You've been doing this for a year? Yes. And we talk on the phone and we're getting to know each other and it's a podcast. And people listen to it? I'm like, and people listen to it? Really? And Jeff's like, how do you make money? And I was like, actually, interestingly, you say that. We got our first... someone came to us and wanted to buy ad space on our little podcast. And I was like, and we run ads because, unless it makes money, they don't, what's a creative endeavor? That's just
right.
Like, Burnett Beck and Jeff Beck were like, what the fuck is a glass jaw? And then here he is, touring the world. And they're like, and to this day, they're like, I guess. I don't know why he does that. And meanwhile, glass jaw puts food on the table.
Right.
So I had to explain that, and then Jeff was like, "But tell her the other part, Burnett." And Burnett's like, "Jeffrey." So like, they apparently did a deep dive. They watched clips on YouTube of Real World.
Oh no.
They were like, "I saw the episode where your parents came to visit you. Oh, it was so cute." And I'm thinking to myself, because I've also kept Shorty and Mercy from them. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, when my parents come, there is exactly one dinner.
Yeah.
Of the entire family. I need it to be 90 minutes or less, and then I need to bring my parents home. Daddy can have 2 beers tops. And then we need to take separate cars home. There's no after party. There's no need for them to be getting together longer because Jeff and Burnett are, buttoned up, regular, nice, and Shorty and Mercy are Shorty and Mercy.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot emotionally for me to manage. So I do everything in small spaces and compartments. And so now all of those compartments are starting to fall apart. And so when I texted you from the barbecue, I was like, girl, they know about the podcast. They know about the podcast. And the whole time I'm like, and if they pick the podcast up, now that they know and can, now they're old and they're sitting there with their readers on, looking at the phone from far away, trying to figure out how to log on. Now I'm like thinking about every episode. I'm like, what the fuck did I say? Did I say anything? So like, I'm concerned.
It's a weird space to be. I mean, I have fretted for the last 3 weeks that this job that I applied to would find the podcast and it would automatically cancel out any opportunity that I had to even get a chance to interview.
Right. But at the end of the day, aren't you like, I'm a whole person, shit, why can't I have a creative life and also do my work? Damn.
Exactly. And I think that's the space that a lot of people are starting, whether or not they have something that is, public facing with an audience. I mean, people are getting fired over TikTok accounts and over Instagram. And this has been something that's been going on for a while. And I think that, we want to put out a product that is authentic and is interesting and entertaining, while at the same time not having our families, be up on every single moment, because you don't necessarily want to have those conversations with them, because those aren't conversations that you want to have with your in-laws.
Yeah. But this bleeds into so much more. This is a very meta conversation now, but I guess, other people who are creative in their life, or other people who also compartmentalize just in general. You're one way with one person and another way with another person.
Yeah.
But while still trying to maintain your truest self. which is
Yeah.
hard to do. It's not hard to do for me because I've just gotten so good at it, you know, like I am, you know, a thoughtful daughter-in-law who always takes my mother-in-law's side. You know, Justin is wrong, and usually he is. But like, she doesn't know. I wish I could explain it. She doesn't know we country and black. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I could just never. She doesn't need to know that. She has my children who are an extension of me, and my children's personalities are also, you know, being formed, and they're in my likeness. So she is knowing me a little bit, but not in the way that like my friends know me. That's my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law is my friend. You know what I'm saying? She's my friend, but she's I'm not giving her the person that sits in front of Lisa. I'm not giving her the person even that sits in front of her son. I'd be cussing her son out. I can't talk to her like that.
Well, part of it is, I think part of it is respect. I don't think it's all, like, it's not smoke and mirrors. It's just,
yes.
And I think some of it's generational too. There are things that generationally that they just, it just doesn't make sense. There are things that I can't say to my in-laws because generationally they just they won't get it. And it's fine. They don't have to. Like, so I think that there's some of that in there too.
Like how your dad listens to the podcast. I think that's so great for you. I personally don't love it. I'm like, ooh, her daddy in here. But
oh, well, he's not. I think he's maybe only listened to a handful of episodes because I think that he quickly realized like this isn't for me. And he said to me, you know, I don't listen to every single one. I think he kind of dips and dives. He'll go in and Instagram, and you know, if we've got stories up, he'll watch them and send a little emoji. But he's not like super fan, so you don't worry.
Right,
My
because
mom's
he
the
probably
same.
understands that this isn't. I don't understand this.
Yeah, I'm not the intended audience, I think is what he realizes.
Right, and so I don't think Jeff and Burnett will listen per se. But I think Jeff and Burnett's friends who are like, you know, your daughter-in-law is famous. I think they will. And I am concerned. But not concerned because they're also like, your daughter-in-law is famous. Like, they think it's great. They think it's so cool. And they think it's weird that Burnett doesn't lead with that. And Burnett's just like, that's just my daughter-in-law and my son. I don't think of them that way.
Yeah.
Because actually we're not that famous. Like, it's not that serious. But her friend, you know, if you tell Mercy will be the first person. Mercy, it's like I've won an Oscar, and bitch, I'm an EGOT to Mercy. She don't. So that's how her friends are seeing it.
Yeah.
And they don't understand why Burnett isn't more boastful. And she's trying to explain that I'm trying to respect my kids. They don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is sweet, but at the same time, girl, I really don't need them figuring out no internet. I don't.
They don't need to be listening to Who Fucking Tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, and now I'm starting to understand. Not that I know I harass you a lot about how I have felt at times that you're guarded. But in that conversation that I had with them at the barbecue, I was like, oh, this is the shit Amanda be talking about. This is why she's not like, I'm not putting all my business on there. Shut your ass up. Just like last night when Marlene came on. Oh, Jesus. When Marlene came on the Monday Night Live, Marlene is just a super open, oversharer.
Yeah.
To me.
Mm-hmm.
Not to her. It's not oversharing to Marlene. She wouldn't say that. Marlene would just say, well, I'm just living my truth and you're just not ready for that. And that's okay. Totally respectful. So then when it was Victor. Victor likes to take credit for the thing. Victor's like, why don't we have Amanda's sister come on? And you were like, bleh. No. That one, like, you shut that shit the fuck down. And I was like, why can't we talk to Whitney?
Because the thing that I think that I haven't... Okay. So the thing that you don't understand is that in my immediate family dynamic of my sister, my mom, and my dad, I am the one that they perceive as I overshare, I run my mouth, I cuss too much. I am the, not necessarily the black sheep, but I am the alternative one. And I always have been. And I think that has something that has not necessarily been a chip on my shoulder, but something that has always been in the back of my head is like, you're too much. And they didn't verbalize that. And I was allowed to pursue the things that I was interested in and be the weird one, quote unquote, for lack of a better term. But it's always been something that I think, oh God, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, just keep your mouth shut. Just be quiet. Just sit back and be quiet because you're going to say something that is offensive to somebody, or you're going to say something that is, just out there. And so bringing my sister on, I think my sister would be even more guarded than I am, because my sister likes to keep appearances that she's a totally normal, fully functioning member of society with no weirdness. She's got her weird. I mean, everybody's got their weird shit. It's just, you just decide how much you want to let other people see. So if you guys think that I'm guarded, I'm going to tell you right now that my family is 10 times more so.
So wait a second. You mean to tell me they think that you're too much?
I don't know if they would necessarily say that, but that was the vibe that I got, because my sister and I are very different. We sit on very different sides of the spectrum in terms of how we parent, in terms of, how we present in the world, how we talk. I know she cringes sometimes with the things that come out of my kids' mouths, or the things that I allow them to do or watch or see. Growing up, like, we dressed differently. We had different interests, different friends. I mean, we couldn't be any more opposite across the board.
Okay, this is, and your sister relationships, whether they're tight or estranged, or close but not close, they really shape who we are as women, because that's a woman in your life who has to be there for you, whether or not they like you or love you. So, like, even if you don't fuck with your sister, I'm talking about in general, not you, Amanda, but even if you don't fuck with your sister got to come to your funeral. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, the relationships that you have, the formative relationship that you have with your sister is oftentimes a backbone or a barometer for how you're going to interact with other women. And it could be, I'm not this way with my sister, so my interactions with other women in my life are heightened in this way because I don't have that with my sister. Or they're less emotional because my sister is my best friend and she's the only person I need. Like, there's a lot of things about a sister relationship that shape who we are. So last night when Marlene came on the live, Marlene is the only person in my life who can do me to me, and I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, how I be putting you on the spot and asking you goddamn questions, you better answer that shit, and sometimes I'm a little bit much. Marlene does that to me, and I don't like it. So now when, like, as I watched you watching us, which I've also been told when the two Howard sisters get together, it's just like, what the fuck's going on? So I understand people's overwhelm, like, watching us. But, like, I totally get it now, watching you watch us, how you could appear guarded when really you're not. It's just that Marlene in that instance was so full, I would say. She was so open and free and amazing. I mean, amazing. It's something people should aspire to, even if everyone had just a little tiny bit of Marlene. Everybody would probably be a lot happier.
Absolutely. I mean, it was one of those situations where it was like, I have nothing constructive to add to this conversation. And this is so interesting and entertaining to me that I'm just going to sit back and just let her go, because I think that, part of being a good conversationalist is also knowing when to shut the fuck up and when to keep your mouth shut, because in those instances is that person will keep talking, and that's when the gold stuff comes out. And that's exactly what she did last night. And it was, I think too, you can kind of assess, like, I could see your discomfort in some things. And so it was just an opportunity to sit back and like let that unfold, because there was no place for me at certain points in that conversation, and it felt fine to just like sit back and observe. And it was very interesting to see you guys together, because I've never seen you live together talking.
And I forgot that, because I've told you enough stories about Marlene. I've told you enough. And Marlene, she, in the early days of the podcast, Marlene was in the chat. Marlene was, a staple part of, our building of this community. So like, you knew about her, you knew of her, but you hadn't experienced her.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you have, you're like, oh yes, okay. Oh, those Howard girls. Wow.
Well, and getting to know somebody's family is part of getting to know them. So it was really interesting. And when she said, because I knew she was older than you, but I didn't realize that you guys had the gap that you did. So then that kind of opened things up and made a lot of sense in terms of how you, like the energy that you guys both present individually, but then, when you're together, kind of how you guys shoulder up to one another and talk, spar, joke, that kind of stuff.
Right. And you saw, and I think some of my discomfort was Marlene is really, you know what it is? And not to, I'm going to sound like a fucking total narcissist. I'm used to when I'm leading a conversation, being that conversationalist. And Marlene is just 10 times more interesting than I am in ways where she can just go from being exceptionally funny to reading me for filth, like just seamlessly, and I'm caught off guard, and I don't be liking that shit. And I don't like that people know that can happen to me. Like, I don't like people knowing that there is a person in the world that can do to me what I do to others. Like, I was like, oh no, don't show a man to that. Don't show a man to that. I'm supposed to be the bully here. Shut up. Shut up. So like, it is interesting. At the same time, people were in the chat like, oh, this is so fascinating, because you're learning a lot about me while she's talking, because you're seeing me sit there like, And so when people were like, Amanda, do you have this relationship, this kind of like talking relationship with Whitney? And when you shut it down, I was like, oh wow, okay, so they don't really rock like that.
It would be the same exact dynamic. I would be Marlene if my sister were on, and my sister would be you. And my sister would be very uncomfortable. Like, if I said half the shit, Marlene, like, you would see my sister shrivel up and go inside herself.
And you wouldn't even be, but we're talking about like the White Ohio version. You wouldn't even be saying anything that crazy.
Right. But in this dynamic and in who we are as people, it would be like that. Like, it's so funny, when she had her 30th birthday party, it was a surprise party. And I didn't know anybody going into it. My sister-in-law was the only person I knew invited. And I was prepared to just like stand by Chris the entire night, because I'm not there to make new friends. But there was this one woman who was there, and I had this moment, and I think I said to her, I cannot believe that you're friends with my sister. Like, good friends with my sister. Because I feel so deeply connected to you and the energy that you have and the shit that's coming out of your mouth right now. She's fucking hilarious. And she really, like, she holds no punches. She is, she wears a trucker hat that says cunty across the front of it. Like, my sister would never. And so it's that kind of dynamic, and just that, like, the ways that we express ourselves are very different, and it would be it would be a less interesting conversation to have her on, because I think that she would not want to, have an exchange like that in a public forum.
Oh, so your sister is conservative. Like openly conservative.
Openly conservative, yes. Very much likes to have control over the narrative of like what life looks like. She's not going to post a picture on social media where she doesn't look absolutely gorgeous. I mean, she's beautiful, but like we have to take 55 pictures together, and then she gets to pick the one that gets posted onto Instagram. Whereas I'm just like, whatever, just post whatever. My eyes, I don't give a fuck. Post it. So we're just different in that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it wouldn't be an interesting conversation, because I don't think that she would open up and feel comfortable, like warts and all, in a public setting.
So is your sister like let's say you have an office job at Progressive Auto Insurance, and the nice lady Madison is your desk mate, and Madison waters her cactus, and she has a bento box lunch in a Chevron that Chevron thermos bag thing that keeps it warm or cold, and she has a reusable Starbucks cup, and she dresses really together, pretty. Pumpkin spice latte. Is that her?
Yeah. Chuggy.
Don't call your sister Chuggy. She gonna be upset. But would you say that that's like an honest representation of her?
Yeah. She's she always looks nice. She is guarded with her communication to other people. She's very particular with what my nephew and nieces watch. She's very careful with language. I honestly had no idea that she was considering, ending her marriage. I had no idea that there was trouble in her marriage. Like, she kept that on lock. I had no idea. It totally caught me off guard, because the social media presentation, the times when I was over there, like there was absolutely no there were no signs that anything was going on.
I mean, but that could also just be being protective of her inner private life, and that's okay too,
Yeah, but I guess I just, like, if it were me, I would be like emoting all over the place.
Right. And in that, you guys are different. And isn't that fascinating? Like, you could come from the same. Marlene and I grew up in the same house. We have the same mother and father, and could not have had a more different upbringing. I can't explain it to anybody. But
no,
we can't be any more different. And we're alike, but we're different.
Yeah. It's that whole nature nurture. I mean, you look at your own kids. You're maybe able to easier compare your girls because they're all the same sex. And I can look at my kids and I can see their differences. But if I look at them, like I look at the boys specifically, and I think, gosh, darn it, like things that are typically associated with like behavior traits or, whatever for boys. And I hate to put people in boxes. I'm trying to be sensitive. I understand that like not all boys like and do the same things. But if I look at my sons and I say, this is maybe more so like this one, it maybe does more things that somebody would be like, oh, that's like what a boy does, versus this one, there's definite differences, and they've been raised the exact same way. They have the same DNA. How on earth could one be the Tasmanian devil and the other be a totally nice, gentle...
I don't know why you're not naming names. We know it's Lennox. We know it's Lennox, the person who is currently living with 19 stitches in his head.
Oh my God.
Wow. Okay. So that makes so much sense. And do you feel like, I mean, this would also be, we would just be going straight to therapy. But Marlene touched upon it a little bit. Her relationship dynamic with my mom and my relationship dynamic with my mom are two totally different things. Marlene, I would say, because of geography alone, is closer to my mom in ways than I am. Like, you know, I love my mom, but I also don't live where my mom lives. And my mom also doesn't really know much about me, but my mom literally is obsessed with me. Mm-hmm. And Marlene has always been like, Mom just, you know, thinks that you are the end all be all. And here I am actually doing all the things because I'm here, bitch. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she's critical of me. So, like, would you say, and, you know, moms aren't supposed to have a favorite, but would you say your sister's closer to your mom than you are to your mom?
No, because they're so very much alike and it creates conflict. They would deny it. Like, if they were sitting here with me right now and I'd be like, y'all are the same person. No, I'm not. She does this. She does, like, they would I would never hear the end of how different that they are, but they are the same exact person.
But then would both Voltron and say that you're the crazy one. Yes. When you're like, I'm really just sitting here being my normal ass self. Y'all's the ones getting upset.
Right. So, and when it comes to, like, I'm the pleaser, I've always been the pleaser, and maybe that's like big first daughter energy, but like I'm the one, and my non-confrontation side, like I'm the one that's like constantly trying to keep things calm, trying to keep things on the low. I'm gonna, you know, I fuck up, I'm gonna apologize, I'm gonna make sure that this is right, I don't want to create waves. Whereas my sister will just like set that bridge on fire and walk away and be like, what now? And it's created a lot of, you know, strife for them. So they have their moments when they're totally fine, and then they have their moments where they're disagreeing on something, they're not getting along, you know, but it's really because they're the same person. I'm my dad through and through. So, you know, we get along with everybody to a certain extent, but the two of them, they've always had that tension.
Wow. I'm trying to, like, I can't even really relate to that because I have the added layer of, I can't even relate to that because, could y'all stop making noise? I'm about to make a fucking important statement. Shit. Fucking 60 episodes in and these motherfuckers, I was about to get to something good, goddammit. Fuck. I'm in here making fucking television magic, podcast magic, radio magic, whatever the fuck. I was going to say, I'm trying to figure out how I could relate to that because I have the added, and in the Discord, they brought up a book that I need to buy, actually. Our lovely friends in the Discord in the mental health channel have recommended a book that I need to buy, something about parenting and like how it'll illuminate you understanding your childhood. But some of those things I can't relate to because I have the added thing of my mom being just very fucking mercy. So, and there's no other way to explain it. Like, oh, you know, just mercy. And, you know, the merciness of her shapes how my sister and I, you know, respond to her. So in a weird way too, Marlene and I have kind of parented each other in a woman way. I wish I could try to explain it. I can't though.
No, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. You guys are filling in maybe in the places where, you know, there were certain things that for whatever reason it just your mom didn't do, or maybe you guys recognized a need in one another, and so you just naturally, you know, filled in that place. I think that's normal.
Right. So you saw how Marlene wasn't trying to say thank you to me for saving her life. You saw how she was not trying to say that. When I was like, remember the time that I had told you to get the vaccine and you didn't want to get the vaccine, and then you got the vaccine and now you sitting here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Marlene was also throwing in jabs, and I didn't like that. Fascinating. Interesting.
Yeah, but that's what family does, right? Like, your family are the only people that know, like, really, like, you at your core, and they see the costumes that you put on to present in different ways. But at the end of the day, they know that little you that is inside. And so your family has all of the tools necessary to push all of those buttons to either make you incredibly happy and joyful and feel loved, or to feel like, God damn, why'd you have to bring that out, guys?
Yep.
Why did you have to bring out the fact that I can't do math? I'm almost 40. Can we please stop teasing me about the fact that I can't do math?
When you said on the Instagram story, we're almost at 2,000 followers, and that shit said 1,095, I was like, what is it? I said 1,100 and 2,000, and I suck at math. I'm a terrible math person. Remember the time we had to squash the whole entire episode where we talked about how our husbands just take care of that, and we're like, ooh, that's going to sound anti-feminist. Let's put this one in the garbage.
We actually dropped it in the Patreon.
Oh, no. Everybody knows. They're not going to know. They know.
How will they know?
Yeah, you are not good at math, but it's refreshing because I fucking suck at math. Terrible at math.
I just saw that like 95 or 96 and I got so excited. I was like, oh my God, we're about to level up. And 2000 was the number where I went to. My dad thought it was funny. I'm glad he thought it was funny because I was definitely embarrassed. I saw that text come through and I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, I can't,
Cool.
I don't like numbers in general. Like when Justin Beck is trying to have a conversation with me about a mortgage, oh, well, if we do this, if we refinance here and this is that number, we're going to get, like, do you even understand, babe? We're going to get this much money back every month. Like, do you even understand? I'm like, I fucking don't.
Right.
And I'm literally watching this lady curl her eyelashes right now. So I don't give a shit about the numbers you're talking about. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't care. And I can't stand a map. Because map also have numbers and directional stuff, and I cannot stand a clock. No.
So I don't know if I heard something the other day or I read an article, but there was something about, people that have math anxiety, like it's an actual real thing, a chemical process that happens in your brain that causes that anxiety to crop up. And it's a real actual thing. And I wish somebody would have known that back in my formative years when they were putting me at Sylvan Learning Center, when they were getting me tutors, when I was like riding the struggle bus that entire time, because it like, you think of like physical exercise and like that's exhausting and feels hard. My head feels like that when I'm presented with a math problem. And it's been a fucking roller coaster trying to help my kids with math. There have been times when I've called my dad and I was like, am I doing this right? Or we've had to YouTube it. My children have lost all trust in me for helping them with math homework.
Girl, Justin gets so upset with me. He's like, Melissa, why did you just give her the iPhone calculator? I'm like, because the shit don't matter. Because the shit don't matter. She don't know what the fuck 8 + 8 is. I told her to memorize the shit. She don't know, so she need to put it down on a paper. He's like, well, what about when she takes a test? Well, then we'll just tell them that she's not good at tests. I don't know what. It don't fucking matter. She don't need to know because she has a computer. She has a laptop. Right. She has a calculator. She has everything she needs to know. Not to mention she got a daddy. You can help her. Yeah. I'm not...
I will look at your spelling words. I will help you, write stories all the live long day. Let's talk about punctuation. Let's talk about these book reports. Like, I am there for you on the art projects and all that shit, but do not. And you know what? Here's the other problem. They do not teach math the same way that we learned math. So if I try to explain long division to Quinn, she's already pissed because it is not the way that she was taught. And I was like, I don't give a fuck the way that they taught you in class. This can also solve the problem, but they have to show their work and they have to do it in this stupid Common Core way.
Well,
Fuck Common
yeah,
Core.
the new way of learning math is the dumbass way, because and they've tried to explain it to me like, well, Miss Beck, the reason why we teach this way is because we're trying to teach critical thinking. I'm like, well, motherfucker, if you want to teach them critical thinking, then why don't you learn the motherfuckers about racism? That's critical. Oh, I see you don't want to do that. Nobody wants to have that conversation with you, Miss Beck, do they? Because math is static. Math is real and quantifiable. Why are you making them take the numbers apart in ways that they don't need to be taken apart?
Really, all you need to know is balance your checkbook, find the area of something, because if you're going to do home projects, you've got to know how to find the area.
No, I don't. You need to get fucking white pages and hire somebody. Balance a checkbook. I don't do that. I just bought the item. It's not my... I bought the item and the shit didn't come back to client, so apparently we had it. Not...
Oh... I had a professor once in college. I took this class. We had to take this like senior capstone class. And it's supposed to be the fucking joke class. You're supposed to be able, it's 2 credits. It's supposed to be fun times, not serious. I could not get the class that I wanted. And I ended up taking this like physics in math class where we had to take PVC pipes and like make flutes and shit.
Oh, no.
It was a lot of hard math. And I remember sitting in my professor's office almost every single day after class. And one day he looked at me. He was like, can you not balance a checkbook? I was like, motherfucker, this is not balancing a checkbook. There are letters and signs and all kinds of shit. Just, I need an A in this class. So please help me. Help me, please.
I can't. I don't do measurements. Justin will be like, babe, you don't see that that's fucking 8 feet away? I'm like, bitch, I see that that's far. I don't measurements. And that's another thing. Yeah, don't put letters and symbols with the numbers. Why are you doing that?
No, we're graphing calculators. What is that?
First of all, the only person who needs to know math to me is the astrologer. And that's his job. And then you spit that shit back to me and tell me that my life is going to be going great and I'm about to get this bag. That's all I care about. And the only math I really care about when it comes to money is, do we have some? Preferably, do we have a lot? Because that's what I like. I can't stand when Justin comes to me talking about some budget shit. Girl, stop it. I don't, Do you want me to just not go to Costco? Is that what you're saying? Because if that's what you're saying, then that's what I can do. No, I'm just saying, like, every fucking time, like, when you go on Amazon, like, are you comparison? I'm not comparison shopping shit. I'm getting the thing that I like. What are you talking about?
That's why I'm not allowed to grocery shop anymore. Chris loves a coupon, and he price checks shit. He orders food from 3 different places. Well, first of all, if I were
Chris, listen, and I hope Chris is listening. If I were Chris, I wouldn't let you have shit. I wouldn't let you have a credit card, not a checkbook, not a nothing. You can have these coins every day, Amanda, to get yourself a coffee, and that's it, because you have a shopping addiction.
I don't know why you guys think I have a shopping addiction. I don't have a shopping addiction.
Oh my God. You have a shopping
There are things.
The first level is denial.
You guys are so full of shit. The things that I talk about in the newsletter and in the Discord are things that, like, I have had. Like, I'm not buying these things every single month.
Girl, every day, every week at least, you're like, I just discovered this thing I found. It ain't no shit that you been had. Come on now. You shop, bitch.
Okay. I respectfully disagree.
That's okay.
I do not.
That's okay. Denial is the first step. And that's okay. That's okay. But you be shopping. You be shopping.
Whatever.
See?
Whatever.
Also, see this dismissive, antagonistic attitude while being confronted with the addiction. It's all on intervention. I see in all the episodes. Well, happy hiatus.
I know, happy hiatus. Are you hopefully gonna rest?
What are you gonna be doing on hiatus, actually?
I'm going to a tiny house for a couple of days, and I'm gonna have a job interview, and I'm gonna finally understand what it feels like to have all 3 children out of my house for an entire school day. I'm going to get that started while we're on break.
Nice. Oh, yeah. You're going to have some actual me time.
Yeah, we're celebrating our 15-year anniversary. So we're going to go to a tiny house in West Virginia for a couple days and do
That'll be, well, I was about to say, do nothing. Chris would, he begs to differ. Not no doing nothing. You about to be hanging from the ceiling in that tiny house. You about to tear that tiny house up. That tiny house going to be on 4 flats. And people that own that tiny house going to be like, these people fucked all over this goddamn house.
And it's not that big. There aren't that many surfaces.
They done fucked on the walls, fucked on the sink, fucked on the toilet, fucked on the compost maker.
What are you doing? You've got some big Jewish holidays coming up.
I have some big yeah. Well, I'm going to atone, and and then I think during the hiatus I will be, just jumping off of cliffs and whatnot. My normal stuff. Right.
Be
getting
safe.
out of my comfort zone. Like getting on airplanes and going into COVID hotspots. That's the type of shit I'm going to do. So
you are adventurous.
I know. I got to come back in one piece. But I think that while we're on hiatus, a lot of good things are going to be in motion. You are a medium. You can see it right before us. I think that we are about to be where the money resides, where the money resides, where the money resides, where the money resides. I think this hiatus, we are going to come back bigger and better and stronger and more fragile than ever. So,